All right, so we are going to look at real world inequality problems. Okay, so this is page 19 in your notes. So this is like what we did earlier. You're going to choose a variable like we did earlier. You're going to write in an equality, not really an equation. We're going to write in an equality, and then we're going to solve. Okay, so a marathon, we're looking at number 1. A marathon runner plans to run at least 62 miles. So he is going to be bigger than 62. I know that. Miles this week. So far he has run 27 miles. How many more miles does he need to run? So our variable is going to be miles, right? And I'm going to say that he's run 27 and he's going to run some more, and that has to be more than 62. So I'd have 27 plus x is greater than 62. So opposite operation, I'm going to minus 27, and I get x is greater than or equal to 25 miles. So that means as long as he runs more than or equal to 25 miles, then he's going to meet his goal. Okay. All right. So Aria likes to keep her credit card balance below 800. So that means that when I'm doing this, I want it below 800. I don't want it equal. I want it below 800. Her last statement showed a balance amount over this amount. So she sent in a payment for $250. So she's paying it away, so it's going to get subtracted. What was the balance on her statement? Okay, so she had, we're going to say X is her balance. Okay, she had a balance, right? And then she made a payment of $250, and she would like that to be less than 800, right? So she had a balance, she made a payment of $250, and she wants it less than 800. Right? So I'm going to do the opposite operation, and I'm going to add $250. And so my balance has to be less than $1050 for this to be true. Okay? All right, so I think you kind of get the ideas on the adding and subtracting. Let's take a look at the multiplying and dividing. Okay, so just some practice on word problems. Students on a field trip are divided into 24 groups that with no more than 5 students. So they cannot have more than. So it's got to be less than 5 students in a group. Find the number of students on the field trip. So X is going to be our total students on the field trip. Okay, and they're taking that and they're dividing it into 24. So my equation is going to be X over 24 is less than or equal to 5, because there's got to be less than 5 kids, no more than 5 kids. So it could equal 5. So I'm going to solve this opposite operation. I'm going to multiply by 24. And so X is less than or equal to 24 is 120. So I have to have less than 120 students or this will not work. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at number 6, because number 6 was kind of weird before as well. So it says an online shop has at least 3 times as many orders in 2019 as they did in 2018. So it has to be more than 3. So they have to have more than 3, okay? So if they had 225 orders in 2018, how many orders did they have in 2019? So X is going to be my orders in 2019, okay? My inequality is I'm going to take that and I'm going to divide by 225, and that's got to be bigger than 3. That's kind of a hard one, okay? So I'm going to times both sides by 225, and I get 675. So I have to have more than 675 orders for this to work. Okay. All right. And then you have some of these mixed ones. So Kate withdrew $240 from her bank account, leaving a balance. The balance has to be greater than, not equal to, has to be greater than 500. So I know this much. Okay. So my X is going to be what the balance was. Okay. So it says she withdrew $240. We don't know what the balance is, but I'm taking out $240. So what did the balance have to be if I want more than 500? So I would do the opposite operation, and I'm going to add 240 to both sides. Oh, my inequality is this. And so my answer is 740. It has to be bigger than 740 for this to work. Okay, I would like you to pause the video and I would like you to try number 8. Jeremiah ran 6 miles. His average pace was no more than 8 minutes. So it can't be more than 8 minutes. It could be 8 minutes exactly. So I'm going to say less than or equal to. How many minutes? So X is going to be my minutes. Did he spend running? Well, we don't know how many total minutes he spent running, but we know when we divide it by 6, it's going to be less than 8. So that is my inequality, less than or equal to 8. So opposite operation, I'm going to times by 6, and X is less than or equal to 48 miles. Wow, that's a lot of miles. Who wants to do that? Not me. No, that's minutes. Thank God. I thought that was miles, and I was like, no one wants to run. I had to think about that for a second. Okay. All right, so the next one says a lake is rising at 1.5 inches per day. If the lake rises no more than 2 feet. Okay, I wanted to talk about this one together because they're trying to trick you. This is in inches and this is in feet. And we learned in a past chapter that 2 feet equals 2 feet equals 24 inches, right? Because it's 12 inches in a foot. So I know that if the lake rises more than 2 feet, it will cause flooding. So we need it to be less than 2 feet, which is 24 inches. About how many days can the lake rise without it flooding? So my variable is going to be days. So, and I'll fold that in a minute. I have 2 more. So I'm going to do 1.5 times my days. I'm going to divide both sides by 1.5. And so my equation is 1.5x is less than or equal to 24. Divide both sides by 1.5, and x is less than or equal to 16 days. If it rises like that, then they're going to have to let some out of the dam or the whole thing is going to flood. Okay, so I would like you to pause the video and I would like you to try number 10. A theater must sell a minimum of 1,200 tickets for a show to go on. So they have to sell a minimum of 1,200, which means that this has to be more than 1,200. If they sell 1,200, they're good. If they sell $11.99, they're bad. If they have sold 387 tickets, how many more? So aren't we going to add that? So my variable is going to be tickets. My equation is 387 plus x is greater than 1,200. And I'm going to minus 387 from both sides. And my answer has to be bigger than 813 tickets. Okay, these are hard questions. So, and then you'll get into higher level math where then you have to figure out how big the place is. And so maybe you can't sell more than 1,000. So you get all kinds of craziness going on. So we're just kind of starting with these.